It cost us $125 for 2 weeks at the mountains with meals included.
The Poconos?
Hmm.
Really? Because that's like the classic
Oh,
honeymoon
spot.
Right.
Yeah, it must have been hopping.
Well, that wasn't. It wasn't like that then. There was only a few hotels then, but we stayed in a nice one. We were all the way up on the third floor. But
So you got married. You got married in 45.
right,
So how long had he been home from the service?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I hadn't seen him in 2 years.
Wow.
And you guys threw on a big wedding too. I mean, how many
Right.
bridesmaids were there? I saw the pictures.
4.
Oh, was that all? It seemed like more. Okay, 4.
No, it was Marge, Aunt Esther, Jeannie, and Ruth.
Oh, okay.
There's only 4 of them.
And did you guys rent bridesmaids' dresses?
No, we went down the South Street in Philadelphia. That was the place to go. And what you would do is go down there, and they'd have racks of them. You pick out the style you wanted. They'd measure you, and they'd make them for you. $35 a piece.
Wow, because those were pretty elaborate
Right.
bridesmaids' dresses.
They were velvet, and my sister, you know how Aunt Margie with the buck, she didn't want to be in the wedding because she had to pay $35 for her dress, and my mother had to pay for her dress. And because Alvin was coming home. I guess he was home because he's in the wedding. He came home a little earlier
Oh, okay.
because he was in England, and he got home.
So Alvin was Margie's husband?
Margie's my sister's husband, yeah.
And so they got married before you did?
Yeah, they got married before he left. And it was about 2 months later, he ended up getting called in the service, and he went into the Army.
So would that have been about 42?
Yeah, it would have
Yeah.
been 42. Yeah.
So how old was Marge when she got married?
18.
She was, okay, so how many years older is she?
3.
She's 3 years older than you, okay.
Right. And that when she got married, I was a bridesmaid, and I borrowed my cousin's next door one of her bridesmaids' dresses, and then I borrowed somebody else's dress, came home from the wedding, changed my dress, and put another dress on, and went to the prom with your dad. Busy life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was that vibrancy of, right around the war years,
Right.
all the young people just...
But I was only 15. And I wonder about that because when I was taking those buses at 6 o'clock in the morning, this was during the winter too, when it was so dark.
In the dark.
And I wore high heels all the time.
Yeah.
We never had we had saddle shoes when we went to school. But I wore high heels. You could hear my heels clicking on the pavement all the way down to the bus stop.
Yeah, out there by yourself.
Right. And I would meet him at 8 o'clock out at 30th Street Station.
Wow.
So, yeah, that was fun.
So in the picture where you're hugging,
Right.
that was your honeymoon?
Right.
So was that in the Poconos?
Right. So another couple from the hotel took our picture.
Oh, nice.
I love that picture. He's got his arms completely wrapped around you.
Oh, listen, I thought he was going to break my back when he first came home. When he came up those steps and he grabbed me, I mean, it was like, you gotta let me go. You gotta let me go. I mean, he just held
he
on
let
to
you go
me.
2 years ago. He wasn't going to let you go again.
Oh my God, you're going to break my back. So, but anyhow, yeah. And as I said, he better be waiting up there at those gates for me.
Well,
I'll be calling Stella.
Well, don't call Stella.
Yeah.
Well, that's just a metaphor.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be calling Emil.
So speaking of Emil, how soon after the wedding did Emil come along?
Year and a half later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, there was no apartments either. They had to
Right.
live with their parents.
Right, yeah, we were
There's a
living
So
shortage.
did you live with his parents or your
We
parents?
lived with my parents, his brother and his wife were living there, and my sister-in-law and her husband. The whole three of us were living at this.
Well, the original All in the Family.
Right. Well, they had a 3-story
You said
house.
my parents. Wasn't it his parents you were living with?
We lived with his parents.
His
yeah.
parents.
His
Okay.
parents. Okay.
They had a 3-story house, but then they had a house down the shore at Pine Beach,
Mhm.
and that's what we did. We went down there about April, and all went down there because it was even bigger.
Yeah. Now, is that house still there?
Yeah, but they sold it
Yeah. Now, have you gone back to visit it since
No.
then? No.
because it's down the other end of Ocean City. We go up here, and they're up here.
Would you remember it? Would you recognize
Oh
it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because it was
Spent
right.
the whole summer painting the fence, didn't you?
Yeah, but right down the street from them was Admiral Farragut's Naval Academy, where young kids went there. So, I mean, I would know it from there too.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure it's changed.
Yeah.
So,
That'd be interesting to see what it is now.
right.
Hmm. Well, it must have been a lot of good times.
Yep, it was great when they all came home. So, well, as I said, you don't know what all we went through then.
We have no idea.
The thing is, for me, it was like a party because they had USOs and guys were always coming home and bringing a buddy with them, and they'd call you up.
So now you see in the movies where the GIs come home for their breaks, and then they go and they look like dance halls, and all the GIs would be there, and the young girls, and they'd be dancing and stuff. Was it really like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What they do down in Philly, it was in summertime. They blocked off a big square, and they had really top bands come.
Like outdoors, like they block off
That was
the
in the
streets?
summer.
Mm-hmm.
But then in the winter, a lot of the churches would open up. Big churches would open up, and they would hold USO dances and invite all the girls to church and bring your girlfriends and everything else, and all these.
Bring your
servicemen.
girlfriends.
Right. Well, they wanted to make sure there was enough girls to go around for the guys. So, but when we went downtown, I belonged, we called a sorority. There was about 7 of us, all from high school. And what we would do is go down to City Hall in Philadelphia. Now, Philadelphia's a historic city. City Hall has William Penn up on the top. Well, it's made so that there's a street that goes through this way and a street that goes through this way. Well, just for the fun of it, we would go down and we would walk through there. The place was loaded. I mean, it was like walking through an Army camp or a Navy camp because they're all sitting on the sides, just looking for a girl to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
But we would go down and have dinner, and then we'd say, "You want to walk through City Hall? Let's do that for the fun of it." We'd walk through. Well, that's like when we were at the shore. They had Coast Guardmen. We had to be off the boardwalk at 11 o'clock. All the lights on the boardwalk were turned off, so no submarines would see them. So the Coast Guards.
Yeah, submarines that close.
Wow, interesting.
We had oil on the beaches. You'd get it on your feet the first 2 years of the war. Oh yeah, there's things about guys in rowboats, Germans, landing in Cape May, which was right down the coast. But anyhow, the Coast Guards would walk up and down the boardwalk with police dogs. And us girls, Ruth and Jean and I, we'd say, "Come on, let's go out and see how far we can get on the boardwalk." And we'd get up and we'd see how far before they'd throw us off. And they were always cute Coast Guards. They'd throw us off and we'd have to walk back to the apartment in our, So it's like, okay, that was fun. But as I say, they all brought buddies home.
Yeah.
And I mean, I went out the whole time with different guys. So it's like, it's good. I went out with a lot of different guys.
But none of them turned your head?
No.
And you were still writing, you were still keeping those letters coming.
Oh, yeah. So.
Yeah.
But when we were in high school, for one whole week, we wrote everybody's ration books out. You know, everybody got ration books. You could only buy one. You had to take a stamp out of your book
Yeah,
to buy a pair of shoes.
yeah.
And you could only get one pair of shoes a year. That's when they start selling these canvas shoes.
Oh, is that where kids came in?
No, kids came after the war. No, you got these canvas with composition soles, and the things would come apart. Oh, they were a mess. But, well, it's the same way with the pants. None of our underpants had rubber in them. They had a little button over the side here.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
And you know what would happen? You know how they sew buttons on? Sometimes there's a little thread,
Yeah.
and if you pull that thread, it goes back and forth,
Oh,
and
yeah,
the
yeah.
button comes off.
Yeah.
Many girls lost their underpants.
Oh,
They just slid down.
that's what they said.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Right, they just
Likely excuse.
the little button left go, and well, the thing was there was like a slit because there was no elastic, so there was like a slit and a little tab that came over. So if the button let loose, the pants just fell down.
Sorry, Mom, I lost my britches because my button came loose.
Never pull a loose string.
Well, that's when I went to work at Strawbridge's, and I told them I was 18. I was only 15.
And that's when you were stuffing cocaine in the dolls?
No, I was younger than that. Yeah.
Tell her the story about the cocaine dolls.
That was those little tubes we were stuffing this. I don't know what it was. It looked like white powder. School. Different people would call up school and say, does anybody want to work? So during the summer, okay, my girlfriend and I, we went down and we worked at this factory. Well, we had these balls that we had to stuff. It must have been ground up old clothes, it was just stuff. So you stuff the balls. Well, they weren't even like balls. I mean, we had to sew them shut, and it was like oilcloth on the outside. They used anything.
What were the balls made of?
It was like if you took clothes
Shredded
and put them in
rags?
the shredder.
Yeah.
And that's what we stuffed these things with. They wouldn't bounce. In fact, they were so odd shaped, the guy ended up getting them back, and he was all upset. But then we had these little wooden tubes, and we had to fill this stuff in, and we had a scale that we were putting it on.
I know!
Wow.
They're putting white powder in these tubes.
And this was a job from the school that sent us down there. And
Where were they shipping the balls to?
I have no idea. And the thing was, there was some girls, women that worked there too, that were at regular time, and they would say, "Oh, that stuff gives you the shits," and it's like, okay, what is it?
They were probably told to say that so you weren't snorting it.
Right.
Well, I had worked there while I was in school.
So after you filled the wooden tubes, then what'd you do with the wooden tubes?
They just got put aside. I
Did
don't
you
know what
put a
he did with
stopper
them.
in them?
I have no idea what he did with them.
Did you stopper them?
Did we stop her? Yeah, it had a little wooden thing that put on the top.
It's a little wooden stopper.
Oh, I have no idea what it was.
Oh, I thought you were putting the tubes inside dolls.
Oh, no. We were stuffing those balls, but they all came back because they didn't even look like balls. So, but I only worked there for a couple of months while I was still in school, and then we had summer break, and I worked there for a month before we went to shore. So I had money to go to shore.
Her and her girlfriends used to hop on the train and all go off and rent a place at the shore. No chaperone, 4 girls.
Right. That one year we went down there, that was, I guess I turned 16 that year because my mother and father and Ruth Full mother showed up at the window and we were all still asleep. And we had had so many guys come through that apartment that night
Oh.
that, oh, it looked a mess. There were so many cigarettes around. They were all smoking like crazy. We rented this apartment, and this girl's mother was supposed to come with us as chaperone because the other girls, I guess maybe I was only 15. I might have only been 15. But the other girls, they were 17 and 18, and this girl's mother was going to come with us. Well, at the last minute, she backed out. She didn't come. So we went. Well, when we got down there and the people saw that we were all these kids, they didn't want to let us in, but they left us in. And honestly, we were a mess. They would holler that we were making too much noise, and the girls would take a broom and bang against the ceiling. That's when we were up on the boardwalk with the Coast Guard guys.
Now, would you have been with Margie? So would it have been you and your older sister?
When?
When you rented the
Oh
the
no, my
boardwalk?
sister. She was with another with these girls' sisters. But they didn't go with us. I was with all the other sisters. Ruth
Oh,
and
because I
Jean
thought
and
maybe you could go because you were with
Oh,
with
no,
your
no.
siblings, but no.
No,
Oh.
no. But we all went down, and it's like, oh, I can't believe those people. And we were there a whole week, and
And you took the train. I mean, that's pretty astounding
yeah.
too. It was probably a 2-hour train ride.
right,
They
yeah,
were
we
you
took
different
girls
a
were
train.
just- yeah.
though. They were different times.
Yeah, it was because you really weren't afraid of anything.
Yeah.
Well, Ruth and I used to go down and stay at her place by ourselves in the winter.
Oh, in the winter.
Yeah, well, like March.
Oh,
We would
okay.
go down in March, and we would take the beach chairs and go down and sit on the beach with our coats on and gloves, and we'd sit there. Would we get a sunburn?
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
We would come home, our faces were as red as could be.
That's-
And at that time,
that's
there was
rude.
hardly any stores
Friend.
on the boardwalk open back
Yeah.
then during the winter.
Has Ruth passed away yet?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
passed away, and I got a very nice letter from her husband, which really surprised me.
There you go.
So how many kids were there in your family?
How many kids?
Mm-hmm.
My sister, my brother,
So just
This-
3.
just the 3.
Oh, okay.
Now my brother was 8 years younger than me, so he was 11 years younger. He was a change of life baby.
He was
Oh,
a whoops.
They don't say that anymore, but that's what he was.
Yeah.
And that's why the poor guy ended up with all the stuff, the eczema and anything that was in the family.
Didn't he have lung cancer in the end?
No, not in the very end. He had that about 10 years before.
He had lung cancer.
Yeah, he was over that.
Okay.
But then it just everything seemed to come together for him.
Now, how old would your mom have been when she had your brother?
I don't really know. Because I remember he was born the 24th of May, and we had a hot spell that Memorial Day weekend because she was still in the hospital, and we all wanted to go swimming. They wouldn't let us go swimming,
So
Yeah.
he was 8 years younger than you.
right?
Do you know how old she was when she had you?
Okay. I gave that to Jeff Minnick. I got to get it back from him. They were 21 when they got married.
Okay.
Okay, Marge was born in 2022, 23. 4. No,
4
20,
years. Okay, so 23.
23.
1923.
No, she'd be born in 24 because I was born in 27.
I thought you said it was 4 years. It was 3 years difference? Oh, okay.
3 years.
So
between
1924.
March.
Yeah.
Right, 24.
Okay.
So if they were 21, 22, 23, and 4.
Were they married in 1921?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. They weren't 21 years old. They were married in
They
21.
were 21 years old.
Oh,
Okay, no, wait a minute. Grandpa was born in 97.
Okay.
1897.
So when he was 21 years old, it would have been 19.
They were married
1918?
September.
No, that can't be right.
1919.
1919?
I have to get a pencil and paper. That's why the paper's over there.
Oh, there's a pen.
We don't have enough fingers and toes. We've got to do the math.
They
on
were
here.
21.
I've had wine. I don't do math after wine.
Okay.
So he was 1897. So
he would have been 25, right? 3 to 1900.
Yeah.
21 and 3 is 24. He was 24.
He was 24 when they were married.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then Marge was born 3 years later.
We were 27.
21,
So
22, 23, 24. Okay, 4 years later she was born.
So he would have been 28 years old.
Okay.
But how old was your mom then? Do you remember what year your mom was
She
born?
was only about a year, just about a year younger than him.
Okay.
So she would have been 27 when you were born.
Right,
And then add 8 years onto it, she would have been 35
right.
when Dawn was born.
Mhm.
Not that old.
Yeah,
But
by
their
today's-
nutrition was different.
Yeah, by today's standards, it's not that old.
No.
But
But back then she was a tiny little thing, Grandma Weirstall.
No, she wasn't that tiny.
I thought she was quite slender and quite short. No?
Well, she was slender for time, but she wasn't that short.
Oh, okay. I thought she was like 4'8" or something.
Oh no, she was probably at least 5'1".
Oh, okay.
did you know your grandma?
Only at the end, and she didn't know me.
Oh,
Right.
I was the hired help.
Yeah, girl, your feet are dirty.
Yeah. Girl, get me some lemonade.
Right. So, yeah, that's a shame.
Oh, she was happy at the end. She thought she was on vacation.
Well, yeah, at first when she came here, but then after a while, all she did was just sleep in that chair.
Oh,
So, yeah, that's a shame. That's kind of the way Marge went. Not quite as bad as my mom, but her last couple months, she really went downhill. And she looked so funny when I saw her in March. I went up with Jeff Binnick because all their birthdays, they got about 6 birthdays in March. So we went up to see her, and I walked in, and she's got this straight white hair. My sister always dyed her hair, and she always teased it.
Bouffant.
Did she put the crinoline things on too?
No, I mean, she had a very nice hairstyle, and everybody used to say how nice her hair was.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, that's the only thing I got going for me at this age. So, and she always had to get to the hairdresser. That's why we always kid about it. And her husband used to call and say, she went to the head shop. She's over at the head shop.
Now.
But, she'd have a cold or it'd be pouring outside. She had to get to the hairdresser. And it's like, oh my God, I'm the same way. You're going to say the same thing.
Yeah, I know.
I look in the mirror and I think, oh, I'm my mother. I mean, that was 15 years ago I was saying that.
What I remember from Aunt Marjorie, she was so short, she always wore high heels, even when she was working in the vegetable garden. She had high-heeled shoes on.
How short was
Well, she would wear the wedgies,
Yeah.
Mhm.
How short was Aunt Marge?
She must have been just about 5 foot.
Hmm.
She seemed shorter because she had bigger hips.
Okay.
That's the way Grandmom was. Grandmom had the bigger hips. Marge has the bigger hips. And Jeannie's, she's a little bit like that. That's why she's worried that she takes after my mother, her mother, and her. Whereas I've always taken after my father.
Oh, okay.
because I was always taller and skinnier.
Mm-hmm. Slender.
Because you
Slender.
don't have hips.
No, I don't have hips.
No hips.
No, I was supposed to be a boy.
No,
They got the mix wrong, and I popped out a girl.
no. You weren't supposed to be a boy. Jeff was supposed to be a girl. We had 2 boys.
I know.
And everybody always said, if the third one's different. If you got 2 girls, you get a boy. If it's 2 boys, you get a girl.
That's
And
not the way it works.
We ended up with another boy, and we were going to call him Ogden Bogden. And that really flipped my sister and my mother out. Your dad,
And he'd come home from kindergarten and say, "You don't love me."
That would have been cruel.
There was a guy, he was like a poet that used to read stuff on the radio, Ogden Nash.
Ogden Nash,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so your dad knew about Ogden Nash, so he got one of the birth announcement cards and sent it to your mother, to your grandmother, and put down that we called him Ogden. And she said, oh, he would, because my mother and my husband didn't get along too well at first. She always thought he was too noisy, that he hired the kids. Oh yeah, she used to say to him, "Stop that." Oh yeah, he always thought that was funny because he hollered
That
at
he
the
was
kids.
too noisy.
Well, because he hollered at the kids. He's like Jeff. He's
It's also like my husband.
Yeah.
Married my
Well,
dad.
Married your dad.
they say that if a girl, I heard this years and years ago, that if a girl has a father that hollers around the house, that's better for her. But if she's got a father that talks very gently and then marries a guy that's very loud, that's bad for her because she can't handle that. But because she's used to a guy that
You were
hollers,
primed.
I'm guessing any girl with a soft-spoken dad would have found a boyfriend who was soft-spoken too.
well, you never can tell.
That's true.
So,
So your parents were German.
well, my grandfather came over from Germany.
Mhm.
So my grandfather was the first generation. Now my parents, my mother was English and Scottish. Her side of the family.
No, I thought drum came from Ireland.
That's what I said. Scottish. Scottish is in Ireland.
Two different countries.
Mhm.
Okay, Irish. All right, Irish
Okay.
and England.
And what about Emil? Where was his family from?
Well, I always said from Austria, but they tell me that it wasn't Austria.
He was from Hungary and she was from Austria.
I don't know how they would have met.
Well, they share a border
Mm-hmm.
and they share.
Well, they came over
Some pretty-
very young, and we always wondered if they were the black sheep of the family, because they came over like when they were 14 and 15 years old.
Now, so they already knew each other. Were they married then?
I don't know if they were married or whether they got married here, but for 2 people that young to come over on a boat,
Well,
and did they have the money? And you know, back then you went through Ellis Island. So,
wow. I wonder if their records are at Ellis Island. Does anybody?
well,
look?
I don't know. My nephew, he's got some records that he brought down the shore. Now, I didn't see those,
Yeah.
but somebody else saw them.
I saw them, and they weren't that young in the records. But what the girls said was that sometimes they didn't get around to getting the records done until after they'd been there for a while, and then they realized, ooh, if we're gonna buy a house, we got to have records. So they'd go and get the record, because in the records they were like 21 in the records.
Oh, okay.
But
But your father always said they were like 14 and 15, and he always said, I just wonder where they're black sheep. And he said, my mother used to talk about a brother that had red hair, but you never knew any relatives that were still over in Europe or any that came. And they had this one guy, George something, and they called him uncle, but he really wasn't an uncle.
Mhm.
well, you find
and-
family where you can sometimes.
Huh?
You find family where you can sometimes.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. They
Yeah.
called him uncle, and he had a butcher shop, and that's how we ended up getting all this meat during the war. You know, you had coupons and
Yeah.
points, and I'd go to their house and they'd have all this meat, and it's like, how do you get all this meat? And it was the same way with the gas ration. How do you get all this gas?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this summer I found some of my great grandfather's gas ration cards.
Right.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was cool to have it.
Yeah.
Well, that's like me. I turned 16 and I couldn't get my driver's license because you only got 5 gallons a week.
Mm.
And I don't even, well, yeah, I guess it was 5 gallons a week. And my dad used to take the trolley to work to save the gas,
Yeah.
so that he could go to his card parties. You know, they had a group of people play cards once a month, and you know they saved the gas. So it's like, no, you don't learn how to drive till the war's over. We can get more gas.
Did your mother drive?
She apparently at one time knew how to drive, but never drove that much. And she was supposed to come. Oh gee, I don't know how old I must have been. I don't know whether I was in school or not. But my sister was older, and my cousin was staying with us, and we walked up the Fox Chase, which was about 1, 2, 3, 4, about 6 blocks away.
Is the Fox Chase a name of a street?
No, that was our town, Fox Chase.
Neighborhood,
Oh.
yeah. Their
Okay.
Fox
borough.
Chase, right. And so she was going to drive us up there, and she couldn't get the car out of the driveway. She couldn't back it up. Like Aunt Marge never could back. She kept trying to back this car up and couldn't get it out. Kept wanting to run into the house because the driveway was only so wide. So
And wasn't there like a crooked bend to the driveway?
not
on
really.
Hartel
What
Street?
it had two pavers like this, about this
Yeah.
wide, and there was grass in the center.
I thought that was so cool. They didn't have asphalt or cement driveway.
No,
They just had-
cement.
Oh yeah, where the wheels go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It was cement, but there was grass down the center.
Yeah.
And that's where we played marbles. And
In the grass strip?
Huh?
In the grass strip?
No, there was no grass up at the end.
Oh, okay.
So because the car got parked and stuff would drip, so it was just dirt. That's where we played marbles. But anyhow, she just couldn't get that car. But anyhow, we got to the store and we're on our way home. And here she comes. Finally got the car out of the driveway. So she never did much driving, but she used to keep carrying her license all the time. So she didn't really drive that much.
Yeah.
now, somewhere along our route there is a marble museum if you want to go see it.
Oh, not for the stone marbles, for the marbles. The game.
Yeah, real marbles.
Yeah. Well, we used to play Mumbly Plague there too.
Oh,
with the
what's
pen
that?
knives. With the pen knives, they used to start out with a block, and everybody got a block, and then you'd take your pen knife and
Try to
take
get it
out,
into your
and then you
corner of the
divide
block.
The corner, and you got a half of his block, and then you divide it again.
I never heard of this game.
So
You were playing with knives? How old were you?
well, back then the boys used to carry pen knives.
Huh.
And did you carry one?
Huh?
Did you carry one?
I don't think so.
Because you didn't have
But
pants on.
I was a tomboy.
I know you
I
were a tomboy.
played-
That's why I'm asking if you had a
I
knife.
played marbles with the kids, and I played with the knives, and they all wore these knickers, these corduroy knickers to here,
Yeah.
and they had leather boots up to here. I wanted a pair of those so bad, and my mother wouldn't buy me those because that's how they kept the knickers in. There was like a cuff that went into the boot. And I wanted a pair of those boots, and they just wouldn't buy me any. No.
So you were stuck wearing dresses. Did they let you?
Sometimes they were really horrible looking slacks. they were cotton slacks that were about this wide. I have a picture of me in one,
Oh,
in a
okay.
pair, and it's like, but most of the time I was in dresses.
But sometimes you got to wear slacks.
Very, very few times. Very few times. All during high school, we wore skirts and dresses.
Yeah, I was gonna say, by the time you were a teenager, you were happy to be clicking around in your high heels.
Right. Oh, yeah. Every time we went out somewhere, we wore skirts and high heels. But even to school, we wore skirts and dresses.
Now, did you wear uniforms?
Mm-mm.
No.
So, but there was no slacks. Nobody wore slacks to school. Where the heck is she? What time's she coming?
She said after 8.
Is my watch running?
I have no.
Well, it's about 8:15.
Oh,
This one's hard to see. Okay, it looks like it's 20 after. This is my great, what the heck's that store?
Lazarus?
Kohl's. $12 watch.
Ah.
I love that.
Oh, it's nice because you don't have a buckle.
Oh, I like,
Right, yeah.
I don't like the buckles. I have a
Mhm.
hard time buckling. So I get the cuff ones.
Yeah.
And I went up there, I had another one that I paid, around $50 for. I got it in the National Geographic magazine. I took it up to get another battery in, and I said, "You have any cuff watch?" "Yeah, they got a whole, over there, that table, they're all on sale." And it's like, "Oh, great. Oh, $12, we'll buy one."
Excellent.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, I remember a story of Dad holding onto the trolley cars when he had roller skates on.
Well, that's what they would do down the city. The trolley cars. And they would have roller skates on, and they would grab the back of the trolley cars.
So you wouldn't have to pay to get on the trolley.
Right, and it would take them for a couple blocks.
But also the fun of
Yeah, the fun of grabbing onto
the trolley and
Right.
rolling on a bumpy street and
Right.
That doesn't sound like fun to me.
So,
with your 4-wheeled roller skates,
Roller skates,
not inline
right.
skates.
right.
Kind of daredevilish, eh?
Right. Well, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Well, that's like up in my neighborhood when we were kids. We used to have seal test milk. They
Mhm.
still got a seal test company. And they were the first company that had electric cars. They were like a truck. And the guys would, almost like the trucks, like the cars you get at the amusement park, hit the button.
Oh yeah.
And they would have ice in the back to keep the milk cold. It wasn't refrigerated.
Right.
No, because you would have had ice boxes in those
Right.
days.
And we would always run after these trucks. "Give us some ice. Can you give us some ice? Give us some ice." And the guy would chop off a hunk of ice and give it to us. So, and when I was young, they used to come with horse and wagon with the milk
Mm-hmm.
And the fruit sellers.
and the fruit sellers. Oh yeah, girl at the post office, she remembers those too. We had a ball one night. We said, "Do you remember this guy coming along and saying, 'Strawberries'?" They would walk up and down the street hollering strawberry. Yeah, I remember. How about the guy selling the clothes props? Clothes props. She knew
What's
all
a
of
clothes
those.
prop?
Huh?
What's a clothes prop?
Okay, girls. Don't you remember we had to hang the wash outside?
Yeah.
Okay, you had long, so you needed a clothes prop
It's
to
like
hold
a-
the center up.
Like a
Oh.
forked stick to hold the laundry line up.
Right, because when you put the clothes on, the line went like this.
Now, when in the summer we had when I was a kid, we had an old wringer washer that
Right.
we did the laundry.
Right.
And we same thing. We had a long clothesline, but we just had like a stick.
Yeah,
with
that's what it was.
Yeah.
They were about this big around.
Yeah.
And they had a fork at the end.
Okay.
That the line went through, so it did fall. That's why I gave you that
Yeah.
white one.
Yeah.
But that was a hunk of the fence.
Yeah.
That's not a real clothes prop.
But I mean, that was a business that people would walk around and sell.
Right.
How
right.
often did you
Wow.
need to buy clothes props?
Well, I don't know. We must have had about 10.
You had 10 clothes props. How long was
My
the,
mother.
Did you have 10 lines of laundry?
My mother, my father, that was his job. Every Monday before he went to work, he put the clothesline up. It went down the driveway, up the driveway, over to the house,
Oh my!
over this way, down this way. Oh, we had clothesline all over the backyard.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Well, we didn't have any. All the clothes had to be hung outside.
But I thought it was just like one line, like
Oh,
when I lived at
heavens,
the
no.
PMQs in Kingston. You know, you had your
No.
one line, but you didn't do like all the laundry in one day. That's the difference, I guess.
Well, we did the sheets. The sheets got done. Both sheets got done, and you figure that was 2, 4, 6, 8 sheets, and pillowcases every week. And then we got to a point that you only changed the one. You know, you took the bottom one off, pulled the top one down, and then
Right.
put a new one. But back in those days, they would do both of them.
So did they take the clotheslines down every
Oh, yeah.
week? Oh,
Yeah, the
so they didn't
clothesline
leave them
got-
up.
The clothesline got taken down, rolled up,
Huh.
and so, and then in the winter when it was really bad, it would get strung up in the basement. Well, that was something. It was like the thing you put up. This went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth this way.
You had short basements, didn't you?
Right, because we had a coal bin.
Oh, okay. Oh,
There was a big coal bin at the one end.
so it'd be coal dust all over, and you're hanging up the clean laundry down where.
No, you got the coal at certain times. You got the coal in September when they had a sale. They used to get a flyer in the mail that this coal was so much, and this coal was so much, and pea coal was so much, and this other coal was so much. So when you would call up, you'd get half of this and half of that. Your coal bin was divided, and then for the bucket a day, that's heated to hot water. That was a little thing like that. Well, you got this little tiny pea coal that went in there, and that heated the hot water.
So
Did
were
it burn at a different rate than the other coal?
Right, right,
And there were different qualities of coal, and that's why
Right.
they were different prices.
right. Different prices, and the coal trucks would come, and boy, you'd hear all up and down the street, people would be getting their coal bins filled. And then my cousin Ruth down the street, they were the first one that got an oil furnace. Well, honest to goodness, back in the corners of the living room, the ceiling was like, "What's the matter with that?" Oh, that's from the oil. And that was, they had radiators, you know, because we all had radiators.
So
now.
what was happening in the corner?
Well, it was oil from the oil.
Like it looked oily?
Yeah.
Oh.
Was it the fumes or was it oil?
No, it was from like a carbon stuff.
Yeah.
You saw it dark
From
in
burned.
the corner.
Oh,
Yeah.
the way it
Burnt
burned,
oil.
huh?
Yeah. So she was one of the first ones that got oil. And then what they would do is they would redo your coal furnace when they start putting gas in. So you could still keep your coal furnace, and
Right.
they would do something to it that you could use gas in there
How did they deliver the coal?
by coal trucks.
Yeah.
And your coal bin was over by a window, and you'd open the window, and they would have a chute,
And it went into the basement.
and it
with
went into the basement into the coal bin. So
So the coal bin was like an open box.
yeah, like a big box, like part of your basement. You'd say, okay, this is the coal bin here,
Okay.
and here's the furnace right outside the coal bin.
Because they had those doors that would go down into the cellars, right?
Oh yeah, the cellar doors. Yeah, yeah, we had the cellar doors. But
Where were they? I don't remember the cellar doors.
Because the porch was built over.
Oh.
That back porch was built over.
Okay.
I
But
remember
the
those.
steps were still there. There was still a door and steps. But you couldn't go out there because, as I said, they built that porch over and put a bathroom and the laundry there.
And the porch is where Grandpa used to make his ice cream.
Right.
Now, was that one of those old cranky things with the?
Well, he started to make this great ice cream, and everybody loved it. So he decided he was going. They built this place on about half the size of this, and he got ice cream cabinets, the old ice cream cabinets. You lifted the lid up,
The freezers.
and he used to make this every weekend. He would make ice cream, but he made it with cream. He'd stop at the dairy and buy bottles and bottles of cream, and he would buy strawberries. He would buy pecans and roast them in butter the night before. Oh, they were so good.
Oh, I bet it was so good.
And he would buy pistachios
Yeah.
and different things like that, and he would.
And was it?
But then he got a motorized one.
Oh.
He got one that had a motor on it, and he would make these cans. That's the way the ice cream used to come in cans.
Yeah.
And he would make that the whole weekend. And what I would do, he called it the Blue Lantern. And on the corner of our house, we had this lantern, a blue lantern. There you go.
Okay, a broom.
Well,
Hello there.
How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine.
Good.
Getting better.
Here you are.
So,
How we
what I
doing?
did-
There's a dustpan.
Hi.
How we doing?
Oh,
Stairwell.
hi there.
Kathy.
How are you
Hi,
doing?
I'm
You're
Good.
in
Good.
town,
Good.
huh?
Kathy.
Nice to meet you, Kathy.
What was
I'm
that?
assuming you're
Jen?
Susie's friend, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you're from up north as well?
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, we met when we went to school in Florida.
Oh, cool.
So we've known each other for 35 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
They both married Canadians.
Oh, how funny.
She's
Yeah.
actually from Syracuse, New York.
Okay,
Which-
so
So
you're
we're,
okay.
so we're both Americans, both
We went
married
to
to
Florida Institute of
Canadians,
Technology
Got it.
and
in
we
Melbourne.
went to the other side.
Okay. I'll be right back. I have to go clean up something on the driveway.
So Jen, how life has been good? You
What's the
said?
matter with the driveway?
I dropped a bottle of wine as we were walking in.
Oh, what a tragedy!
You'll have that. Or Travis. is my name is. So Jen, how's life been?
Oh boy,
We're talking about the old days.
Those are always good days.
Yeah.
No matter who you
they
are.
didn't know about clothes props. You know about clothes props?
Mm-mm.
And now we're learning about the Blue Lantern.
Oh, the Blue Lantern. Okay, I was like 8 years old. So up the street, there was a nurse's home. There was a private hospital up there. There was a nurse's home. So I used to ride my bicycle up to the nurse's home, take orders for ice cream, come back. My dad would fill the orders, and I would fly up there on my bicycle.
Oh my God! I
And
bet
deliver the
they
ice
loved seeing you coming. You were
Yeah.
Well, see, my aunt used to work there. She was a nurse at one time. And the nurses would actually live there in that home. It was a really nice stone home. They had tennis courts outside for them.
Smith out of there.
And so
You
what
didn't know
happened
something.
is my aunt knew all these nurses. And on Christmas
You'll
Eve, they
have
would
that,
come
no
down to my house. And you, be a 7 or 8 year
So
old,
how's
try
the
to go to
business been for
sleep.
the chick?
When all these girls are down there decorating the house
What was
and
the-
laughing
Yeah.
and carrying
what was
on.
the
And,
name?
Oh, Zachary?
So did your
Yeah, how's
dad
the business
sell
been
the
for
ice
him?
cream?
Right,
Oh,
yeah.
good,
So he
good.
was a bit of an entrepreneur.
He
He
was
sold the
picked
ice
up
cream,
by
but then the war
a
came.
company
So he couldn't get all the
That
stuff.
is in
But
charge of
in
all
the
the
meantime,
contracts for
His
the power
brother-in-law
lines.
lived next
So
door.
when
His sister and
um,
brother-in-law lived next door.
The trees need to be trimmed around power
thought he
lines.
was going to
He
have
would be
too
one of the
much money.
contractors who would bid on the contract and go
That,
out and
oh,
maintain
he's
the
starting
power
a business.
lines.
That's
We
not
need special
good.
training for that.
So
special
him
training.
and the
100%.
guy across
Yeah.
the street,
So,
who was a principal
So
at a
his
school,
company was
very
going along just fine, and then the
very high
inspector came
class.
out and
They
he
thought
found
they
a
were.
Right.
safety violation,
They went to-
and so
took him
they,
to court,
they had to shut
said that
down and do
Why
it.
were they-
Even though he had a license, they took him to court and
The
said
one
he
young
was
lad
in a
who's been working
residential
for
area.
quite a few
So
years.
he had to quit making it.
Oh,
That
that's
was his own
up in the
sister.
bucket truck.
that's
So,
dirty.
right.
Trimming
So,
tree tops. Now,
They
tree
didn't have any
tops
kids.
are not that
And
dangerous because they're not that heavy.
She
And then
she was the talk of the neighborhood.
then they
'cause
took a
she
break
didn't
and then
have
he
any
went back
kids.
up again and he was on the tree trunks.
she
Well,
would
they
come
are dangerous,
out
they are heavy.
In a
And he didn't have his
joggers
harness on.
and boots
So because he wasn't wearing
and
a
a
harness,
little,
well, and he had
you
just
know,
like just
jacket
finished
on
that,
Yeah.
with her
came
crop
down,
in her hand,
talked it over,
and
had a
jump
break,
in her
went back
little-
up, and then totally
little
forgot
powder
the harness
blue
on.
roadster,
So
Oh.
that's a
and
safety
go off and
violation.
go horseback ride.
So, you know,
This-
it's
I'm
a
talking
electric
about the
thing, you know.
1932 and 33.
Right.
And
Yeah,
they
had to stop
all these
over
women in their
and
house
go and
dresses.
write an assessment.
Yeah.
And,
Who
Maybe
wrote the
that's why she
assessment?
was mean. She
oh,
didn't have
I,
kids.
Right.
it was
Like,
you know, Zach had
Zach's
to,
side
But
or
they
the
never
other
had
side?
any
both,
kids,
I
and
think,
it's
you know,
like,
and then they had to
okay,
have a meeting
and they got
so
kind of high
we're just about
for
ready to start back
Yeah.
up again,
So-
but you
And
know,
maybe a
how long
little
was
bit
it?
of jealousy too,
Um,
because your dad
well,
was.
right.
most of the work
Well,
in summer.
he was
and,
one of the
yeah.
actual,
What
the
about the entire
founder,
summer?
Well,
with
see,
Mr.
you
McNeil.
can't get a heavy
McNeil
equipment
Laboratories,
in the spring
Tylenol.
because it's too
Oh,
mushy.
really?
Mhm.
You only have the summer.
He was a
and in
chemist
the
down
fall,
there.
it gets
And that was
too
your
mushy 'cause
dad.
the
That was
rain
my
hits
uncle.
You have to wait for
Uncle.
the
My
freeze
uncle.
up. So you can only work
He was
Summer
actually a
when it's
chemist
really,
down
really
there
dry,
when McNeil's
or
first
winter when
started
it's really frozen.
with the
But the
father.
spring
Right.
And
fall,
when my husband
Too
went
you
and worked there,
so
he was
you have a
working
short
with
window
the
of
Sons.
opportunity to get
Oh,
the
so
Sons
freeze up.
that's how
And then the
he got
contract's
into
in.
the pharmaceutical
And then they'll,
business.
you
Was
Right.
through
Wow.
his.
After
Well,
What
he
that
went
would've
down and
been
made
his-
an application for
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
So
and he was hired. He didn't tell him right away that his
she's a weird
wife's
dog.
uncle worked there, but then they
Right.
found
We've been
out
working
that he
all
worked
week
there.
at like
Huh.
letting
But
her out. She'll
no,
only
he
go
worked
outside
there.
for mom.
And as I said, he
Last
went
night,
up the
She
ladder
finally
too
went
Yeah.
outside
with
for Kathy.
McNeil's
Yeah.
as the company
We
got
earned
bigger
her
and bigger.
trust.
Yeah.
Gosh, usually
Hmm.
So how's life with you?
Oh my gosh,
Business is
so
good.
many stories.
Right.
Where are you working?
ever. So
Well,
Jenna
But
said,
as I said, she was the envy of the neighborhood. She had this little pale blue,
I want to ask her if she gets herself
and all
a
she
job in
does-
town.
and she had a membership up at a pool that was quite a
So
way.
where
She had
is
to
it? Where
go
is it
by
working?
car to
Yeah.
this
I hear in
pool, big
Columbus.
pool,
Yeah.
I
Now
haven't
was that
traveled
pretty
that much, but I think the
prestigious
family
to
thinks I
to?
have.
right?
That's
Oh,
what
no,
I
And
what
she
business?
had a membership there.
Yeah.
So
Marketing
she
and public
would
relations.
take me once in a while to
So
go.
do public
But as I
speaking,
said, I was
public
kind of a
relations.
tomboy,
I
and
had how to help your
I
diabetes
probably didn't-
programs for getting
didn't fit
people
in
off
with the
of,
plans so good.
Yeah.
Type 2 diabetic medications.
Huh.
Oh, okay.
Which,
Oh
so
boy.
did Jeff tell you that I was traveling a lot, or no?
What's this?
Did Jeff tell you that I was traveling a lot, or no?
Yeah, I
What all
did.
did Jeff tell you?
What did Jeff tell me?
Yeah,
No, I think it was Megan that told me you travel a lot.
I honestly don't travel that much. About maybe every other month I'll
Oh,
travel. So
okay.
maybe 6-7 times a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
which-
that's a lot to some people when they
That's
stay
fair.
home all the time.
Yeah, it's only for 2-3 days at a time though, you know.
Oh, okay.
So it's like I might leave on a Tuesday,
Oh, okay.
get back on a Friday morning.
Oh, okay.
At the worst, maybe sometimes Tuesday on and get back on a Thursday night.
Right. Okay.
So it's not that bad. But yeah, companies will fly me in and.
Well, that's the way my husband used to be. He used to go out of town on Tuesday and come back on Thursday. So,
Oh yeah. Well, and what he did sales, right?
huh?
Didn't he do some type of sales?
Yeah, he was in pharmaceutical sales.
Oh, that's a great job.
So,
That is.
Not the illegal pharmaceutical sales.
Yeah,
that
not
we-
like the street
not the-
corners.
yeah, not what we
pharmaceutical
think.
right.
Mm-hmm. Bye, Cootie.
So,
She doesn't like going over there where it's dark because she came right up to me now.
Yeah, she's a good girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pharmaceutical sales is fantastic.
so, well, it was McNeil Laboratories with Tylenol. We had so
Really?
much Tylenol in our house when that first came out. And you know, when they first came out with it, you know, they used to do a lot of sampling.
Hmm.
I don't think they're allowed to sample
I
anymore.
don't know, Janet. I think a lot of drug companies still push the sales to physicians and onto
Right.
and
Well,
onto-
that's all he went to was
Yeah.
physicians And then he would go to the pharmacist at the drugstore and say, Dr. So-and-so's going to be writing this.
Yeah.
You got to get it in. But when they first came out with Tylenol, they had these little sample bottles, and they had them in fire trucks. It was the cutest
Oh
thing.
my God! Do you
Little-
still have? Do you have any of those?
No, I don't know.
Oh,
The kids used to love them. They used to have so many of them, lined little fire trucks.
Oh, that would be so cool if you
And
still
then-
had those.
Then what they did is they put them in school buses. They had little school buses. And as I said, we had so much of that stuff. You could have
Oh
floated the
man, I've never heard of that.
Do you guys
I bet
want
if
some
you could find them on eBay,
What?
they'd
you want
sell
some?
for a
Well,
lot.
they were little cardboard
Nah.
ones. And
Everything's put up, yeah.
There's
I don't know if you'd find them
frittata.
or
No,
not.
it's right there on the counter.
Well, they
There's
might.
salad.
I bet you
frittata.
could.
I might
It's
have some.
amazing
Right.
what you'd find.
I'll have some salad.
right.
Yeah, I told
Put a
Susie
salad
she's
out.
gonna have to look for the metal furniture for the dollhouse.
Oh,
I think
okay.
that's so unusual. I bet
Right.
I bet you could find it on
Probably.
eBay or in
And
antique
that
stores.
part's expensive.
I bet it is. I bet it's valuable.
So,
Well, but what's value, right? I mean, there's the nostalgic value,
Right.
sentimental value, monetary value.
well, the thing was, they had a sun porch, little bit bigger than this one. You know, it was off that we had French doors here into the living room, and then we had the sun porch. And as I said, every Christmas, the dollhouse got put up. We had one of those double swings that you put your dolls in, you know, the old-fashioned swing. There was a hutch. There was a bureau. There was a neat crib. Oh, it had wheels on it like this. We used to take it outside and run up and down the sidewalk, pushing each other.
Did you push your brother in it?
Oh yeah, yeah. And then we had the table with the tablecloth on and the dishes on it. And what else did we have? Because she was looking for some of that stuff, and I had, a little high chair. We had a wooden high chair, just for a doll.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened to all that stuff. It used to get put away. Now, we had a wicker coach. I got a picture of my brother in a big wicker coach.
Like a stroller?
A regular coach. You know, like the little girl's coach, but this was a big one for a regular sized baby.
I don't know what you mean by coach. Like a
Baby coach?
like a stroller, or a pram.
Okay, a pram, if you want to
Yes.
call it a pram.
Huh?
We call it a coach.
And was it on wheels?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it has the regular wheels.
And then you have a handle, and you push
Yeah.
it, and then the wicker top.
The thing came up. You could come
Yeah,
up.
yeah, on a hinge. So
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Right. Yeah, we had
And
a
you,
big
and you
one.
called it a coach?
Yeah, it was called a
Oh.
coach, a baby coach.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, like what was the clothing thing?
Right, the clothes poles.
Clothes poles.
Or then we used to have a guy come up and sell horseradish. He had a little glass thing on the top he had a thing that had like legs, 4 legs on it, but then it had wheels on it. He could push it with wheels, and then if somebody wanted to buy something, he could stand it up,
Yeah.
and it made like a tripod, and then it had a little glass thing, and then he could put like a grinder in the top, and he would grind you a cup of
So he'd put the horseradish root
Right.
in and grind it
it
fresh right there.
Yeah, right there.
Oh, I bet it was wonderful.
Well, see, that must have been during the Depression that people were going around selling this stuff.
Well, they were trying to make a living and however they could.
Right. So,
Huh.
well,
I would love some fresh ground horseradish.
right. And then we used to have he was an older man that used to come around, and his wife used to make these great breakfast cakes. They were cinnamon on the outside, and I guess the dough used to rise. They were German. And he would come around and sell these cakes, and here's Mr. Granzo, get a cake from him.
Glenda makes fresh ground horseradish.
My dad did too.
Hers is really intense.
Oh, I'd love some. She's got.
Yeah.
And if she excess or if she's selling it, I'd be interested.
Yeah. I don't know if she sells that. She sells lots of them, but I don't know if that's.
They got enough.
Yeah.
Plenty.
So is that where you got your sweet tooth, Janet, from the cinnamon buns and,
Oh, probably.
and
But
your
see,
dad's
we
ice
had
cream?
we had a corner store. You know, back before your chain, we had the little corner store,
Yeah.
and they had a space with glass over it, and they had penny candy in it.
Yeah.
Well, I used to go over with my mother's list, you know, and I would get, you know, hand it to the store owner, and I would sit there and wait, and he would fill the order for the week,
Mm-hmm.
and I would get a nickel. So as soon as the order got filled, I could spend my nickel and buy the candy. So, okay, what you got?
It was delicious.
Good.
I was telling Dad, Grandma was telling Dad the other day, it's a wonder to me that you don't have diabetes. It is a wonder.
Have you looked around the cupboards? Every single cupboard.
When I lived
you're
here,
just looking for flour.
when
and
I
it's
lived here, I
"There's
swear-
pearls."
I swear she would try to get me to gain weight because every meal she'd be like, "Oh, do you want this?" It'd be like either a pastry or some type of chocolate or a dessert with every meal.
Oh,
It was,
Oh, you're.
and then
speaking of
snacks.
pastry, there's
My father used to say you have to have a little something sweet after your meal to help the digest.
that's right.
Right.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Do you guys like baklava?
Oh my gosh, I love baklava.
Good.
That's very good.
You guys got it. Then there's 4 pieces out there. So
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very
You
much.
brought it or made it?
no, Anna got it in Mount Vernon and brought it.
It must be a
Oh,
Greek,
yeah.
a big Greek community because it's got a Greek bakery
Mhm.
Yeah,
on the top.
yeah.
So when you lived here, were you here like much to hang out, or were you kind of busy working and stuff a lot?
It depends. It depends on the day.
So how's school going?
It's going well.
Good.
I just applied for my last semester. Yay!
Oh,
I just did my
okay.
classes last semester, but I'm actually applying for a couple jobs right now
Come on, Amy.
within the National Guard.
Oh,
So-
okay.
I'm praying that those go through, but we'll see. It's in
Yeah.
God's hand, so
Right.
You're on the home stretch.
Well,
Yeah.
what kind of jobs do you get through the National Guard?
the one I just
Amy,
applied for was a human
Bug her out
resources
there,
job.
dear.
What's a what?
I'm sorry, human resources.
Oh, okay.
So basically, when I go to drill every month, whenever I go to
There you
drill,
go.
there's a
Come
person
here.
designated that
Taste it, girl.
takes care of our pay, makes sure that all of our documents are in order.
Oh, okay.
So I would do that full time.
Well,
Oh,
good.
So it was, yeah. I just applied for a job, but I didn't get it, which I wasn't very surprised, just because I have no experience whatsoever in the field. But yeah, I'm gonna apply for a couple more, and hopefully my luck gets better. But
So, where would it be? At the armories?
at Rickenbacker,
Oh, okay.
Now, are you every time you apply, are you going through the same office?
no.
Or that's too bad because if you keep going through the same office enough times, they're like, "Would you give that girl
Yeah,
a job?"
yeah.
You know? But yeah, if you got to keep going to different places,
Well, I was really, I had my hopes pretty high for this because the recommendations that I received were from like some pretty important people and that knew the people that were hiring.
oh,
So I was like, oh yes, they're gonna put in a good word for me. This is gonna be really good. But then, I mean, obviously you can't substitute for experience. So
And if things are in the point system, then
yeah.
yeah.
but
Never know
it still
how
works in your
connected
favor because if they did say anything, then they'll keep you in mind for the next thing that comes open.
That's
and-
what
And it's good
yeah.
experience just to apply and to interview. It's
Right.
a great experience. The more you do that, the better you get at it. And
Yeah.
I
Amy.
the woman
on,
that
babe.
called me, I received a phone call on Wednesday, and she said, "Hey, but you didn't get the job." And she said though, I wanted to let you know that you do interview very well.
Oh,
And I was like, because I bawled my eyes out after that interview because I was like, man, I did terribly. I was like, I stuttered, like all the things that I thought I did wrong. She was like, no, you were very good at interviewing. Here's the other positions that we have coming available. If you're interested, I'll call you. And I was like, oh my gosh, like absolutely.
that was really
nice.
sweet of her
It was
to let you know.
Yeah,
To give you that
really
feedback.
appreciated it.
That's really nice.
Do you want some crackers?
I'm
Got some
fine.
good crackers.
I'm fine. Thank you, Grandma.
All right.
So it's all cream,
See?
salmon, and what all is in this again? I got it one more time.
Spinach, onions, garlic, some of those dried tomatoes,
Mm-hmm.
what did I,
Salmon.
the smoked salmon,
Egg and cheese.
egg and Parmesan cheese, and we had some cream left over because I'd made a cream sauce the other night, a tarragon cream sauce for the chicken, so wanted to use up some of the cream.
You are such a cook.
I've had a lot of years to,
She
you know.
gave great cookies. The cookies all went at lunchtime.
Yeah,
Ginger cookies.
yeah,
Really
molasses.
good homemade ones.
Molasses,
Yeah.
spicy ginger.
Your father's got a tin full, but he's probably hid them.
I'm sure he's a little cookie hoarder. Every time you make him cookie, or whenever he has the cookies from your recipe,
Right.
oh man, we get yelled at if we touch those suckers.
Yes,
Sorry.
you're sneaky.
Mhm. Your dad, what's that?
Why don't you turn that off?
Oh well,
We'll let it go till the battery runs out.
sure. We'll just let it run. Just talk.
Just talk. Well, I see myself moving back and forth all the time.
I see there now. No, Megan's in there. Megan
Oh,
can
okay.
wave.
Is that live?
Yeah.
Are they watching it?
No, it's not live. No, I'm recording it.
Oh wow. Okay.
Who are they?
Yeah.
The CIA, they're watching. Scully.
So how's George doing?
He's doing well. He's enjoying life, and he's on stress leave now from work. So that means he's home.
Stress leave.
Yeah. So instead of working down in Ottawa, which is 2 hours away, he's home now. So
Now I remember he would go in and travel and stay for a few days and come back home.
yeah, he would go down Monday morning and then stay until Friday night, and then come home Friday night, and then be home for the weekends.
So would you?
So-
So even in that area, would you hardly even consider that as traveling for work, or was that just kind of going into the?
He would just be gone for 5 days, and
Which
then
wasn't
home on the
much for them.
weekends. And so he had an apartment down in the city,
Mm-hmm.
and then he'd come home on the weekends.
Could
And,
you imagine that? Just right 5 days and a couple of days traveling. You know,
But then
like I think that's such a huge deal around here. You know, like I'll travel for
Well-
like 2 days, 3 days, and that's like such a huge deal.
Hmm.
5-6 times a year. You know what I mean? But
Oh,
Yeah.
I have friends. I've got a friend in the Park Service, and she was living in New Mexico, and her husband was living in Utah,
wow.
and they were so a 9-hour drive away from each other. So on the weekends, they would each drive 4.5 hours,
No.
meet in the middle, stay like at hotels.
For how long did they do this?
About a year,
Oh
man.
wow.
and their careers were just in different locations, and that's what
That's
they
it.
did.
you know, you get so far in your career, you don't want to give up your job.
Or
because
raising
you worked
children
to get to
and-
that.
yeah.
You know, and with George and I, we didn't want to give up our property.
Yeah.
I could have transferred down and gone to live with him in Ottawa, but then we would need a proper house and not just, you know, he was living with his aunt for the first 5 years, and then now living with a friend of his, but I couldn't move in and be in that house too. It would just be too crowded.
Mhm.
So we can't afford to buy a house in Ottawa. It's
Well, and you don't want to give up your property in the
no,
river.
and that's what. you
And
know,
it's much more expensive in Ottawa.
oh yeah, well it's like Washington D.C.
Mm.
So if you do, mind me asking, like, what would it cost for a 2-bedroom in Ottawa?
2-bedroom house.
Let's say, just say apartment, just so I can understand. Yeah, a 2-bedroom apartment in Ottawa. If best guess, not holding you to anything.
Probably 350,000.
Wow.
Ooh, that's
Houses start just a little cracker box house. Nothing is 500,000.
wow, that's a
You
lot.
know, and like you just either get like a little strip of a yard, not really anything. Yeah, so it's the capital of the country. It's like our Washington D.C. So you know everything's inflated price wise there. But anyway, so it was a 5-year plan, and it's sort of turned into a 10-year plan, and then it was just like, okay, we got to put the brakes on this, and so he just said, okay, enough's enough, and so he's still working though, because he still has his internet business. He's making ammunition.
Oh, cool.
The dummy ammunition. It's not live. It's for training.
Right.
So and selling that around the world. So he's still got that going on.
No, that's very cool.
He's making dummy ammunition?
Yeah. So
Like
there's no
blanks.
gunpowder and there's no primer. And it's for training. So anybody who wants to be a border guard has to take the courses, and he's teaching courses. And then whenever you're learning, you don't want to give somebody who doesn't know how to handle a gun, you don't want to give them live ammunition.
100%, yeah.
No, you don't want to shoot the teacher.
Mhm.
You don't pass that way.
Yeah.
So, and you know, all the police services, when they're learning to use weapons, they get dummy ammunition to practice with. So there's enough places out there that are ordering the product, and they come back and reorder. They start with a small order, and then they come back and they keep ordering more and more and more. So we
Yeah.
get a lot of repeat business.
Oh, that's
Once
awesome.
they're happy with what they get, and yeah. So he's doing that. And he bought a boat, and so he's out on the boat and doing fishing, and
I feel bad saying that because like I said on the phone earlier, like I meant to reply to that message. I looked at it. I was like, okay, I have to reply to that. Check. Do I put it on my list? Then obviously got busy, completely forgot.
sure, don't worry about it.
The reason I remember it is I saw a post from Uncle George that said, Susan, please come home. There's no like the dishes, like all the dishes in the sink, and I was like, oh, I completely forgot that she's in town. But it was funny that he posted that.
They actually came on a work week. They washed all the windows in the house. They washed all the curtains.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
did. That's
they
what
did.
they've been doing all week. They did all the stuff out in the yard.
Oh my gosh, how
They
nice.
spent all day Sunday out in the yard, dragging branches around, getting the
Branches,
trash ready.
hoses, and
Then they started on the windows, and then they started
Oh my
on the
gosh.
curtains, and did all the living room curtains and all the
She
bedroom curtains.
worked our fingers to the bone.
this isn't a cheap place to stay. There's a high price to
There
stay in
you
this
go.
bed and breakfast. Yeah.
And before we go no farther, we gotta say Megan's ring is getting cleaned at the jeweler's, so that's why her ring's not on.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
notice.
100%.
Yeah.
I figured just in case. Yes.
You
Just
might
in
notice.
case.
That's
What
why she
kind
tied
of
her
ring?
hand.
Yeah.
There you go.
You didn't get the
Or her
birth,
wedding ring
okay.
and the engagement ring
Oh.
are both getting cleaned. Yeah, we figured almost 2 years in, it was that. Well, over 2 years is that time.
Oh,
There you
okay.
go.
So
Actually, I was going to task your dad with this job, but you're pretty darn handy with the tools.
Yeah.
Grandma's stool's falling apart.
Oh.
She's going to end up on the floor with a
Oh,
broken
absolutely.
hip.
That's that.
That's been like that for years.
I know, but what she
Well, yeah,
needs,
but there's gonna be one time
Yeah.
you're gonna sit down and not get up.
she needs it drilled, new holes drilled, because the holes are completely stripped.
Okay.
So new holes and new screws.
Well, maybe I'll do that tomorrow because I don't have.
Yeah.
I don't have any plans tomorrow. Can I borrow your stool for a couple hours, Grandma?
Can you borrow it?
Yeah, to fix it.
Oh, I thought you were
Yeah.
going to bring the drill over.
Oh, I guess
Oh,
I guess
no,
I could do
you
that.
could
I
do
don't know
that.
why I didn't even
You
think
could
about doing that.
take off with the stool. You could do without the stool for a day.
All right.
Then you get another visit.
Yeah.
there you go.
Okay.
So you can get right in that box about it. Get that for you.
Thank you very much.
Unless you want the last piece of frittata.
Oh, I'm getting full. I'm not sure. My second stomach.
I might
Want
take that
a
last
tea
piece.
or a coffee?
Does anybody else
Oh.
want that last piece?
You go right ahead.
I'll take it.
Alrighty.
I didn't think you were going to have enough to eat.
Growing boys. There you are.
Okay, you probably need another dish. 'Cause
Oh, I
it's
can
got,
use that one.
yeah, but it's got your honey on the bottom.
Okay.
I watched a food, like a show on Food Network of how they make this. It's literally a million layers of the thinnest pastry.
Right.
It's-
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine the patience.
Well, you purchase phyllo pastry. You don't have to make it.
Well, but even then, like putting all the layers down.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Thank you, Grandma.
I've made it.
When I was in Turkey,
Yeah.
those Turkish women made their own phyllo.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
I'm in
How do
Canada.
you make it?
I don't make my own.
Roll it out. And just roll, and just thin, flip it over and keep rolling. And
How do you even flip it? Like, I'm surprised at.
just thin sheets. Yeah, and they made their own phyllo and made their own baklava. It was amazing.
And did you notice a taste difference?
When it tastes a little clove.
tasted
Oh, I was gonna say it actually tastes a little bit clovey when I just lick my finger. I thought you were talking to me.
Yeah, maybe there's clove in the in with the nuts. There's a clove sitting on top.
Yeah, I see there's one
But,
sitting on the top.
You know, maybe they.
I'm
also,
glad you said that because I might have eaten that if I didn't.
But also maybe.
But
in with the nuts.
I had a taste of it, and it's like, okay, what else is in there? When I see just the honey and the nuts and the layers, but it's got a different taste, so
Yeah.
they must put some kind of
Spice.
different flavoring in there.
Where'd you get this from?
Anna brought it down from Mount Vernon.
Mm.
Stuart and Anna, have you met them?
Actually, he hasn't.
Okay, they come and go. They live in Las Vegas,
I'm saying Angela's parents.
but
There, see, it's from a Greek bakery.
their Anna's brother recently died, and so they were here to look after the estate, and selling off whatever they could, and they still have her parents' house as well. So now they have 2 houses to sell. Big job.
Okay.
Big job.
To sell 2 houses, especially.
Well, and to like all the other stuff that's in it, you know, I think by now
I'm sure cleaning it out's probably the hardest part.
yeah,
And to live across the country.
Yeah.
in another time zone too.
Mhm.
That was the other thing.
Yeah.
Now they said that was 3 hours time difference, and Zachary's only 2 hours.
I think that.
They're 3.
Yeah, they must be just across that next time zone
Yeah.
because you know Zachary's sort of straight up from Montana.
Okay, but they're right next to California,
Yeah. Okay.
because
Pacific Mountain.
Angela and some of her girlfriends were going to go to the Rose Bowl parade
Mhm.
in California,
Okay.
which was only about a 3-hour drive, she said.
Okay. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, that makes a difference whenever you're flying. You know, 3 hours is
Yeah.
significant. It takes you a while to recover from that. So,
Mm-hmm.
but they're back.
Where they staying at?
Well, they're back now in Las Vegas. When they were here, they were staying at the brother's house
Hmm.
up in Mount Vernon. So, but they'll be back in the spring. He said.
Yeah, when did they go? They went yesterday.
Was
Right.
it yesterday?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Was it
okay, yeah,
yesterday?
was
Lost track of time.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Tuesday I thought was Wednesday
Yeah.
because we had done so much. And it's like, no, it's
Sunday was
only
a big
Tuesday.
day.
Of
We should-
working.
and I was thinking, you know, that if we come again to do a work thing, we ought to just make it a family. Everybody come on a
Oh,
Sunday, and
Everyone
like
help out.
big
What all did
buffet.
you all do?
Well, we worked outside. We drug those branches over, and I used a handsaw to cut up the
Oh my
tree.
goodness.
the tree branch that was 8 inches in the butt. So.
Yeah, it had fallen down a couple months ago.
Yeah, and we raked. We did some.
Well, then you started
raking,
on the windows
sweeping.
and you started on the
Yeah,
curtains.
we washed all the windows outside and curtains. And, I don't know.
You were just along
and
for
you
the ride, huh?
vacuumed.
Then they went down
Just for
to
the fun, huh?
German
Just for the
Village,
fun
down
of
to
it.
Schmidt's one day for
Well,
lunch and
then
walked around
the
German
Monday,
Village.
Kathy rode her bike 60 miles.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Just for the fun of
Right
it.
down here, there's
60 miles. Your bike? How'd you get your bike here?
Well, it took some convincing Susie to let me bring my bike, and she's such a good friend. She indulged me.
Well, I made it clear the dollhouse was coming home and it wasn't going on the roof rack. So, you know, if it doesn't fit, the bike's got to go up. And so, but we managed to get everything to fit because her wheel comes off.
So
You
she's
drove.
got a bike. Well,
Yeah, I
she's
drove,
got a
yeah.
very
How long
good
of a drive?
bike.
Well, it's 4 hours to Kathy's and then 12 hours from Kathy's to here. So I made it like in one afternoon to Kathy's and spent the night and saw Ben and Amanda and my grandbaby Tara and my mother-in-law and Kathy, and we all had dinner together. And that
And
was
you
fun.
live in Canada.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
live in Kingston, so about 4 hours south of Susie.
Yeah. And then we got down here in 12 hours, and no matter how many different directions I take to get down here, because there's 2 lakes to get around, it's always 12 hours.
Isn't that I always hate, like, anytime I've ever taken a long type of road trip, I always try to, like, cut corners, like, oh, I know this place, I can go ahead and go around. It's always the same amount of time. And it's so frustrating that you can't even shave anything off of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, because if you stick on the major highways, it's longer distance, but you're going faster.
Right.
And then if you, like 2 times ago, I came and I went through Toledo, and then I was sort of like going diagonally down to Columbus. Well, these are like slow country roads. You really couldn't,
Yeah.
go as fast on them. But
I gotta go sit on the couch for a while.
sure,
Okay.
the construction on the main highways prevent you from going very fast as well.
Right.
So you're just kind of stuck no matter what. But Detroit is better now than it had been. But it's like driving over a patchwork quilt
Really?
because, they just patched the road. They didn't like resurface the road because Detroit's broke.
Right.
Right.
So you went through Detroit.
Yeah.
I got to hear it all. How bad was it? I've never been there, but I just heard a lot of things on how bad it is.
Well, we
Ha-
were
have you-
only on the highway.
Yeah, we just went
You
down
didn't go
the
through
highway.
downtown at all?
No.
No.
Could you even overlook downtown and see 0 cars driving? Or
I was there 2 years ago
Yeah, you guys took a wrong turn.
on my way home on a road trip, and my 25-year-old son was driving. So we kind of overshot where we wanted to go. So we got off the highway, and it was interesting, right?
I heard that it was the 6th biggest city in the world, in America at the time. But I heard it was going through Vampire Town.
They're going through bad times. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was. There were so many.
I heard on a Monday morning you would see high rises